Howdy, folks. I'm Thundering Thulium, thanklessly treating trembling trees.
I'm Barbie.
And here are more trembling trees for Barbie and me to thanklessly treat.
You're the one thanklessly treating the trees.
I see. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Threatening My Wife with Divorce Over Her Mother's Actions? I'm a 43-year-old male, and I'm threatening my wife, a 41-year-old female, over the actions of her mother. My wife and I have been married for 7 years now and dating for 3 years before that. Her mother and I have never seen eye to eye on many different issues. However, I have always been able to ignore these differences as I love my wife and only see my mother-in-law a couple times a year, as me and my wife have moved across the country for work-related reasons. My mother-in-law has never had any respect for anyone else's privacy, constantly thinks that she's in the right when she's not, and expects everyone to bend over backwards for her. She never approved of me marrying her daughter, even though I have always done my best for both of them. My mother-in-law has always been a kleptomaniac and thinks that she can get away with stealing more as she gets older and thinks people will take pity on her. She admitted this to my wife's aunt, who then went on to tell my wife. This has always been troubling to me, and I have never been fully comfortable with the thought of her coming into my and my wife's house, as she has been expressing an interest in a ring that was left for me by my mother, who unfortunately passed away 7 years ago. The passing was very difficult for me, and looking at the ring reminds me of all the memories of me and my mother that we made together. My mother has asked me to give her the ring multiple times over the years, and I have even caught her twice trying to steal it. I made my wife aware of this, and she claimed that it's just a ring. I have attempted to communicate to my wife that this ring is very important to me, and that it's not to be given away. She always gives a minimal response to this. I was away for the week that my mother-in-law came over for a work-related reason, and to my horror, my wife had given her the ring that I love so much. My wife claimed that her mother had been showing symptoms of Alzheimer's and that she wanted to make her happy, so she gave her my ring. I later learned that my mother-in-law had sold the ring and doesn't know where the current location is. I was very angry and still am at both of them. I have threatened my wife with divorce if I cannot get my ring back, which looks unlikely. I trusted my wife to keep this ring safe, however, she dismissed it as if it was nothing. Maybe she isn't the woman that I thought she was. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
No, I don't think OP's being the jerk. I mean, his wife stole something of his to give to her mom, who then sold this sentimental item. This is a priceless family heirloom. It's not like a gumball machine ring that you're like, whatever.
Well, even if it had been a gumball machine, it still would have been OP's property. Maybe it
Right.
wouldn't have had the same level of sentimental value.
I just mean, like, it's not like she could have mistaken the sentimental value.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like there was any doubt in her mind that this mattered to OP. She just completely disregarded his feelings.
Yeah. I think that what OP needs to do in this situation is call the police and file a police report, because if it's been at a pawn shops aren't allowed to sell stolen goods.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are able to put a police report out on it and then it comes up as stolen, then it'll be that much easier to get back. And I do think that getting the divorce papers ready is probably a wise move, and filing a civil suit, if not a legal suit against her for the replacement of the ring. Like, she should pay for this. She sold it, and at the very least, if you can't get the ring back, then you should get the money. So I don't think that OP is in the wrong here, but I think that this is definitely not the wife for you. Like, if she's going to come in here and sell your stuff, a deeply sentimental ring on top of that.
She's made it clear all along that, it's just a ring, that she doesn't understand or doesn't accept how important this is to OP.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very clear that her mother comes first. This isn't a relationship between OP and his wife. It's his wife and her mother, and then OP.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think there might be like some jealousy on the wife's part of the deceased mother?
I think that she's just used to giving in to her own mom and doing whatever to appease her mom. That would be my guess, but I don't know for sure.
And it might bother her that her husband kind of regards this ring and, reflects on it and places their mother in like this special place or something like that.
I mean, that's a possibility. My speculation, my rampant speculation, is just that she's one of those people who, like, always about appeasing her mom, and her family is just so accustomed to, like, letting her get away with literal theft because, That's what they do.
Well, and then also this whole, oh, I can get away with stealing because I'm older.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the whole Alzheimer's thing. Like, if she does is coming down with Alzheimer's, that's a terrible thing, right? But given the fact that she's using this other type of deceit, what makes any of us think that she isn't using deceit on OP's wife to essentially get her to feel sorry for her and give her stuff?
Well, and like even if she does, like that doesn't entitle her to other people's property.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I wasn't saying it did.
yeah, well, like it's a terrible situation, but that also just isn't an excuse. Like, there's no excuse here for what the wife did. It wasn't like a matter of life and death, and if my mom doesn't have this ring, she's going to die right now.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Yelling at My Daughter for Hiding Her Pregnancy from Me? My 20-year-old daughter lives with me, a 47-year-old male. She has a boyfriend, Gary, a 20-year-old male, who currently lives with his own parents. She lost her job over COVID and has felt so sad since then to look for a new one. I'm not sure if Gary has ever worked, but he doesn't right now. Mostly, he just sits around my house playing Xbox and eating my food. I'm not Gary's biggest fan, but my daughter loves him, so I tolerate him and have always been polite to him. About a month ago, she went missing for a little over 3 days. While she goes out a fair bit without telling me, this was longer than usual. I rang her mother and messaged Gary and any of her friends that I could think of, and no one had seen her. Eventually, Gary responded with a picture of a baby and said, "Say hello to your grandson." She had never told my ex-wife or I that she was pregnant. For context, she's a bigger girl and had put on a couple extra kilos over the last couple of months. While it seemed obvious now in retrospect, at the time it just seemed like normal weight gain. She and Gary brought the baby back to our house sometime the next day while I was at work. When I got home, I asked her why she wouldn't tell me something like this. And she said it's because she wanted Gary to move in with us, and she knew that if I had asked before the baby was born, then I would have said no, and that she and Gary need to get themselves sorted. Both get jobs and find their own place to live before the baby comes. She's probably not wrong, but if she waited until he was born, then I would have to say yes to Gary to move in, because what kind of monster would keep their grandson from living with their father? I was so mad at her reason for hiding it that I yelled at her, saying that it was an incredibly manipulative thing for her to do, and that I was too angry at the moment to give her an answer about Gary. I told her that I needed time to process and think, and asked her not to talk to me for a little while. She rang her mother in tears. My ex then rang me and asked me how I could be so cold, and tell me that I was ruining what should be an exciting and magical time for her, my daughter, Gary, and myself. She said that I would look back on this in years and feel terrible that I spent the first days of my firstborn grandchild's life making everyone upset by being angry at my daughter and her boyfriend and stalling their plans to living together with the baby. I feel like I'm justified in being angry about them intentionally trying to manipulate me, but everyone around me seems to think that I don't have a valid reason for being bothered by this in the first place, and that I need to get over it, move on, and let them live together. Am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I mean, this is ridiculous, and I think that your ex has just volunteered to take her and boyfriend in.
That's exactly what I think has happened here. All of these people who are telling you, OP, that you need to let Gary move in, they have all just opened their doors to both Gary and your daughter. So congratulate them on their new small family, because they're going to need all the luck they can get from a person who refuses to do any work.
Like, it's mighty outrageous of these people who are doing absolutely nothing to be like, how dare you? Like, if you're so offended, open your homes and open your wallets. But,
Yeah.
like, until these people start doing that, they don't have a leg to stand on.
I really feel bad for OP here, because the daughter literally told him why she didn't do this, right? And it wasn't even like, oh, I didn't know I was pregnant or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because sometimes there are cases where people won't know they're pregnant and then suddenly they'll pop out a kid and they'll be like super surprised about it, right?
Yeah, no, it's flat out manipulation. And
Yeah.
so I think absolutely OP, hold to it. Do not let Gary move in and let them figure something else out. They're adults.
Yeah. Well, and then on top of that, he kind of deprived them of the whole being there with her during the pregnancy and the giving birth and stuff like that. Not that he has a right to that, but I'm sure that he would have, given that he's supporting them and being like here for
He
them.
might have wanted to be involved in those
Yeah.
first moments. Like, it's not uncommon for parents to go to the hospital, like,
Yeah.
and meet the baby at the hospital.
Yeah. So it just seems like there's a lot here that really doesn't give me any warm fuzzies about his daughter. Like, she seems like a very manipulative individual.
Yeah, well, and the whole, like, she hasn't worked since COVID, it doesn't sound like she's getting psychological treatment. It sounds like she's just saying, oh, I'm too sad.
Yeah.
And if she's dealing with depression, then help her see a psychiatrist ASAP. But, like, you can't just sit around being like, oh, I'm sad, and that's that.
Yeah, I think that OP, if you wanted Gary to move in with you, then you should set some ground rules and be like, well, then you have to pay rent, you have to support yourself, buy your own food, and that way we can work towards getting you more independent or something like that. Or you have to set aside this much money every month, or any number of things, right, in order to make sure that they can be independent eventually.
Although personally, I would recommend not letting him move in because I have a feeling once they move in, like no matter what you say, they're all gonna just drop it, and then like you'd have to actually go through a formal eviction.
Yeah.
So
And that's what I'm worried about too. I'm not saying that my idea is the best idea. I'm just saying that if OP were to allow them, because it sounds like OP is considering it, then they really need to set some ground rules to make sure that this doesn't become a forever thing. You got 3 months to go find a new place, something like that.
yeah, or just her mom can take them. I know that she and her stepdad don't get along well because he's not a pushover. That's OP's wording, not mine. But she can go live there. Maybe they can live with Gary's parents. They have options.
Yeah, exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Ins2 says, wow, just wow. It's not often people admit their manipulation right to your face like that. Wait until you find out that they were trying for the baby and it was an accident, because I would bet money that that was coming. Can they move in with the mom? Sounds like she's just itching to have them. Or move into Gary's parents' house. Not the jerk. Having that news dropped on you all at once is huge. If there's no place for your daughter to go, I do hope you let her stay though, for the baby's sake. But I tell her no overnights with Gary. If she wants to be a happy family with him, they should have gotten jobs years ago. But at the very least, Gary needs to get his act together and get one so they can rent their own and be a happy family eventually. And OP replies, unfortunately, my daughter doesn't get along well with her stepfather. I guess he's less of a pushover than I am. So I don't think that would work out. Potentially, Gary's parents could take both of them in, although I have no idea whether they would pull the same stunt on them, or even if they know their grandparents at all yet. I have a feeling that they let him get away with a lot less than I do. I've heard him on the phone and tell them to stop nagging him, and he would do it when he got home. So that could be why she thought that I would be more likely to say yes to them. And editing ad, I won't throw her out. I'd never do that to an innocent baby. But I think once I've gotten past this, if she continues to live with me, I'm going to start setting more rules and expectations for her. Well, and at least that's a good place to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think that this is just a lot to drop on poor OP. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, and again, first, maybe check and see if she needs any psychological help. But if there's nothing there, if it's literally just she doesn't want to work, then it's important to have her get a job and help out.
Exactly. All right, folks, and our last letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Make Sure Things Are Equal Between My Daughter and Stepdaughter? My wife and I each brought a daughter from a previous relationship into our marriage. Despite being only a year apart in age, our daughters were completely different, and that's why I'm here. My daughter has always been athletic and outgoing. Growing up, she played basketball, softball, soccer, volleyball, and even golf. In middle school, she picked up tennis and never looked back. I paid for her to have private lessons, and when she found out how much I was paying for those lessons, she decided that's what she wants to do as a teenage job. She's now a junior and is one of the best players on her high school team and teaching tennis lessons. She teaches elementary school kids and charges $75 per hour. With her skills and outgoing personality, she has a waiting list of kids and makes about $1,200 per week. She could make more, but I limit her hours so that she can concentrate on school. My stepdaughter is reserved and not very athletic. We always tried to sign her up for the same sport and team with my daughter, but she either objected or quit in a couple of weeks. I get it, sports are not for everyone, so I never made her feel bad about it. She recently turned 16 and got a job at a burger place nearby. She's making $13 an hour and bringing home less than $200 a week. My daughter recently decided that she wants to be independent by buying her clothes and electronics with her own money. Obviously, she can afford the latest styles and gadgets. She recently bought herself the top-of-the-line Mac. My stepdaughter is jealous of her sister and has been very vocal about it. While we were in bed last night, my wife said that it was unfair that one is making so much more than the other. I answered that there's nothing that we can do about it, and it's a good life lesson for the girls. My wife then suggested that we have my daughter use her money to help my stepdaughter buy the same things, or we cover the pay difference between the girls. I laughed because I thought that she was joking, but she wasn't. We whisper argued for about an hour before we went to sleep. This morning, she brought it up again and accused me and said that I'm refusing because I'm playing favorites, and that it was a jerk move for a parent. We argued until we had to leave for work. Update, thanks for reading my post and giving me your input. I've read through most of the replies during my lunch and I'll get through the rest after work. I'll answer some common questions. We tried to sign my stepdaughter up for the same sports as my daughter because we thought that it would be a bonding experience. We also wanted to get her out of the house and meet people because she spends most of her time in her room playing World of Warcraft. We didn't make her participate, but asked that she try things for at least a couple of weeks, then she could quit if she wanted to. We tried to get her to sign up for things that she enjoys, but she always refuses. Before getting this job, she spent much of her free time playing games, so I am at a loss to think of any marketable skills that she could leverage into tutoring. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
No, I don't think Opie's being the jerk here. Like, his daughter came up with a business venture. She's very money savvy. She knows her value. It is an unfortunate life lesson that not all skills are equally valued. And it's unfortunate that the burger place doesn't pay very well, but also it's not OP's responsibility to compensate for that.
Yeah, I mean, the trouble is this. If you start compensating her now, get ready to compensate her for the rest of her life. Because your daughter's making $75 an hour. That's where she's starting. And that's likely to go up over time, right? She's not going to stop making $75 an hour, right? She's not going to go and do a different job and earn less than that. So when she finally finishes high school, maybe even goes into college and is still doing this kind of stuff, and maybe even builds her own business from ground up, get ready to be paying out the nose to your other daughter to make sure that her whole life is accommodated for, because she's not earning as much as her sister.
Well, it also was unfair because, the OP's daughter is putting in hard work,
Yeah.
and if she sees her sister getting money just for existing, like, to compensate, it's not necessarily a good way of handling it.
Yeah, it sounds like your stepdaughter has put in the bare minimum effort into things. And, like, I'm not saying that working at a restaurant isn't hard, because that is hard, right? But the rest of her life, the rest of the aspects of her life, she's really put very little effort into it, so she doesn't have a whole lot of skills to, survive on. And so that's certainly fine. Not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone needs to go out and create their own business, right? And there are certainly going to be things that she's good at that your daughter isn't good at. So they're each going to have their own unique skills and stuff like that. And maybe she can take this as a learning experience and say, well, if I want the same kinds of things that my sister has, then I'm going to have to work extra hard to get those things.
Yeah, and I think that's a better takeaway, having her evaluate her skills and try and find things that she can leverage rather than just handing her money.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to help her in the long term build a stable financial future.
Yeah, exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber has yet another jovial Bob Stein joke. I feel like we've been reading these forever.
Why are skeletons cowards?
Well, I can tell you exactly why skeletons are cowards. And one might think it was because they have no guts.
Yeah.
But that's not the answer at all. That's not the answer at all. Skeletons are cowards because they just are naturally afraid. Have you ever seen a skeleton walking around? No, it's because they're always running and hiding away. That's just the reality of it. So, yeah, that's why. And I have Earl Grey.
Thanks to whoever suggested Barbie costume. I can't remember who did now because it was like a couple of months ago. But yeah, Barbie today, and I have more of your costumes coming as we go through October.
Yeah, so Amber's dressed up today. So
Yes.
Thanks for your costume suggestions. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it in the form of a slogan for a business.
Welcome to Radiant Rings. Please don't try to sell us your stolen relatives' things.
You know, that would be a good slogan for a business. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.